Okay, well, welcome back to Pencil Lead Theory. I'm your host, the Rocket Surgeon, and we're going to be breaking down some of the hillbilly firearms videos that he's recently posted. The Galil bolt and carrier check. All right, let's hear what he has to say. This ought to be great. I'll stop it when I think a little commentary is needed.
Okay, on this one, we're going to talk about something that I assume a lot of people don't know could be a problem, and I get this a lot. My bolt is dragging and leaving marks on my bullet guide.
Okay, right there. I wonder why he's getting that a lot. Very interesting. I know why, but let's hear why he thinks.
Well, yeah, it's probably going to do that. Even if you've got a brand new bolt, to some degree, it's going to kind of mark its path because it goes up and over this guide. In this one, I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's transfer rub from the bullets coming up and over from the cases, and no rub.
No rub. That's right. There's no marks from the bolt on that bullet guide.
In the middle. So this bolt and this carrier was in really good relation to the height of that. All right.
This bolt and that carrier, yeah. Well, anyway, the rails prevent the bolt from interfering with a bullet guide that is in the correct position.
Well, that's from a brand new micro kit that was cut up. I say brand new, I mean that one there I believe was the one that had paper in the barrel. So I don't think it had ever even been shot. Now, as you shoot these in, if you'll look at your bullet guide, you'll see where the bolt's riding up and over and going into battery. Well, is the bullet guide high? Probably not.
If your bolt is contacting the bullet guide where the bullets ramp on the bullet guide, your bullet guide is out of position.
But what you can come across is look at the gap between the carrier and the front bolt head. See that gap opening and closing like that? See how loose that is? Okay.
What would that matter? It doesn't. Your bolt is riding on the rails. It doesn't matter how much play there is there. Your rails prevent the bolt from bouncing or riding over the top of the bullet guide.
That is from a Century, Galil. This is a brand new reference part, never shot. Same with the bolt, still got the grease in the bolt face. And you get just a very, very little bit of play. I mean,
I should go back and replay that in slow motion. In fact, when he first touches it, the bolt has quite a bit of play in it, it looked like, but it doesn't matter. I think this whole argument that he's come up with, I've never even heard of this ever. Now, this may be a real issue, but I've never heard of it. I can put the most worn out bolt and bolt carrier in a IMI made Galil, and you are not going to get that bottom of that bolt touching the bullet guide ever.
I ain't messing with you guys. I'm trying to pull that apart. That's all it's got. Okay? And this is for this kit in the background, and it's got a considerable amount of play. So what we do is we check for wear on the carrier and on the bolt. And the only way I know how to check something like that is to use gauge pins, okay, and a micrometer. And what you want to do is basically get your pin set, take your bolt out, find the gauge pin that will just start in there, and then you kind of got to nudge it through. That one's got a little grit in it, but try it again. There we go. If it'll go in like that and not start moving until it gets further down, see how it's kind of hanging in there? There what you want. So this particular one is 438 thousandths gauge pin. Okay, brand new one is.
I want to just back that up just a second. See if I can show you something that I thought was right there. Look at the bottom of that bolt carrier. You see those rub marks? That ain't from the bullet guide. That's from your rounds. When your bolt goes over the top of your trigger, it's going to be that stripe down the middle. And when it hits a round, either if it's on the left side of the mag or the right side of the mag, it's going to put that shine on there, okay? So he'll say in one of these videos that the rub marks on your bolt is from the bullet guide. No, dude, the rub marks are from the rounds in your chamber. The bolt does not touch the bullet guide if it's installed properly, which all IMI guns are installed properly. And a lot of these kits that are built on these US receivers aren't, because they were machined wrong. The receivers are the problem. And you've probably built hundreds of guns, and so you've got customers calling you now that they're aware of this problem, and so you're making up videos. I mean, who on the earth has ever used a gauge pin to measure the wear in a bolt carrier? I mean, this is just insane.
So this particular one is 438 thousandths gauge pin. Okay, brand new one is a lot better, a lot smoother down through there, so it's not kind of egged out because of the torque or the forces or whatever. They tend to open more at the front than they do at the rear. Okay, so that one is 429 thousandths. That's brand new, never fired. All right, so 429 on a new one is great. 438 on a used one is kind of close. I only want to go somewhere between 8 and 10 thousandths before I start worrying that the bolt is going to have problems like that. Okay, so that one should be 437 and a half. Okay, this bolt I replaced years ago. See how it's kind of dropping through? I don't have a half size, so this one was replaced a while back. It's back in the shop for I believe a barrel chop, but that's kind of the borderline where I stop and look and evaluate, because with this you are going to get, as you can see from that shine there and that shine there, that is rubbing pretty well as it goes up and over, because it has to.
BS. That's total BS, bro. Come on now. That's rub from the bullets. That does not touch the bullet guide. At least not if it was installed properly.
It's hanging down there, so it's going to go up and over. In my book, anything past that is a judgment call, but I tend to start looking for another bolt in the carrier that's at least 5 thousandths tighter than that. So, 438, 439, and you want to back that up if you can. The bolts very rarely wear to the extent that they seem to, the stem being the problem. So, you just kind of measure them there. 426 and 426 and a half. So that's a new bolt. This used bolt I put in years ago should be right at that. Yep, 426, because that was a new bolt, used carrier. And this one from the parts kit should be pretty close to that as well. Yeah, 426, 426. Now I have seen these before, like I said. They'll be down 420, 422. I mean, some of these guns, they have a nip.
Wow, dude, you've seen them with 4 thousandths of an inch of wear on them? Oh, and dude, that doesn't even matter. This whole video, in my opinion, is created so he can show the people that he's built these guns for that are having these issues, and try to blame, oh, if it ain't the bullet guide that's wrong, it's your bolt carrier that's wrong. Oh, here, send it in. We're going to have to fix it. Oh, okay, here, that's a $800 fix for you. When all he's really got to do is just take that bullet guide out, mill the receiver to spec, to IMI spec, put a off-the-shelf IMI bullet guide in it, no grinds on it, and rivet it back in, and it would work just fine, in my opinion.
Million rounds through them. Some of these guns have shot very little. So this is one of those things you want to check. If you know your guide is flat, you know it's where it should be, and you're just concerned that your bolt is having to hop up and over. Check this. Look in that hole. Get you a gauge pin set. Calipers will not measure this accurately. You need a gauge pin set. They're not very much, and you kind of got an idea what sizes you need to get. And check that carrier. That's it. If it's 10 thousandths past, replace the thing. If it's 3 thousandths or 5 thousandths, just consider that normal wear, and the bolt is kind of going to sit down slightly, but it's going to move up when it goes over the bullet guide. So yeah, rubbing on the guide is kind of the way it was designed.
What? Rubbing on the guide is the way it was designed. Oh, that's amazing.
And you're not going to change that unless you redesign.
Yeah, you started to crack up there. I'm pretty impressed you got that far through the video without just busting out laughing.
The weapon, the wear is your enemy, and you're going to see it. You guys buying used guns, used parts kits. You didn't buy new old stock parts. Okay. Yeah. So next video.
So.
Okay.
So basically, what he's saying here is, if I built your gun and it's and your bullet guide's smacking into the bolt every time, it's because you got a little bit of wear here in your bolt carrier, but that's normal. That's the design, unless you want to redesign the whole gun. So go buy yourself some gauge pins here. And, after dude, it's just like every excuse in the book. I've never even seen anybody in my life measure what he's measuring. And I'm not saying that they don't do that. Maybe they do when they send these back and, re-arsel them or whatever it's called. But I would put a large amount of money that you can put any Galil bolt and bolt carrier on an IMI gun, and that bolt is not going to touch the bullet guide where you're claiming that it's normal. Just sorry. So, yeah, I think that is the reason that he's made these videos, is because he's tired of explaining this to everybody. And if you don't understand the mechanism of that action, this would probably convince you that that's the problem. Oh, the bullet guides are machined incorrectly from subcontractors, and you got too much wear in your bolt carrier and your bolt. But no, dude, this is real simple, and it's all about the CNC machined receivers. And I honestly don't think, until I started to shed light on this issue, that he even understood the importance of how that bullet guide should be seated in the receiver. So anyway, that's my reaction video to the Galil bolt and carrier checks. Fantastic. A lot of interesting information. So here's your rocket surgeon signing off.